Yep, and we should be live if everything went well, at least. Well,
Good.
hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Everything Outside Code. And today I have Charlotte Schmitt with me here. Did I say it correctly? Your last name?
Almost. Schmidt.
Schmidt. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I have Charlotte Schmitt here with us today. And typically on these episodes, we go over, like the title says, everything outside code. And we talk about the really, really difficult bits of getting a product to market. Engineering is great, product development is good, but then you have to sell at some point. Today, we're going to be looking at a pretty much, would I say, very interesting topic, something that's also very close to myself, which is attribution. That's sort of what I see the niche as, is how do you know who's looking at your product or talking about your brand, or
Mm.
in the process, in your buyer uh, journey without you realizing it, right? We create a lot of like brand assets and we do a lot of like awareness focused bits, but we don't know how to track these, not just track these, but how to find people that are engaging or creating these buzz and convert them to customers. So today we'll be talking about all that. We're going to learn about Octolens. We're going to learn about Charlotte and her experience. I'm looking for like mistakes, highs, lows, and the lessons. And if any of you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Um, Once more, while I'm William, I'm going to pass the mic to the person of the hour, Charlotte. You could tell us a bit about yourself and yep, how you got here, and then we just go straight to Octolens.
Great. Well, first of all, thanks a lot for having me. Excited to talk about all these things you just mentioned and happy to introduce myself. Like you said, I'm Charlotte. I'm the co-founder of Octolens, which is an AI social monitoring tool for B2B software companies. And a bit about my background, I started out in the beginning in consulting in brand and growth consultancy, was there for a couple of years, but rather quickly wanted to jump ship. And I was always interested in entrepreneurship and startups. I had done an internship at a startup in Berlin, and that kind of was the initial point where I felt like this is cool. This is the kind of environment I want to be in. And I
Yep.
started a first company with my college roommate. It was a B2C storage, self-storage company, so a very different space. Did that for a couple of years and then decided I wanted to see a different industry. And I did a big flip and joined a B2B um, open source company called CrowdDev in Berlin as chief of staff. And there I was also focused a lot on topics around go to market, growth. And this is also the time where I really started to see the importance of genuinely building a community, having a connection to your audience, and finding people to engage with online, how that's really important to grow your audience and your business, and also how difficult and time consuming it is. There's so many platforms, so many different things you could be searching for. So I really learned about that in my time there, and that company got acquired. And after that time, I decided to take the leap then and start Octolens, kind of based on this understanding that I had then that it's very important for B2B software companies to find relevant content to engage with to grow.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What was sort of like, at least I think, the most interesting shift for you, or what you found most interesting when you went from B2B or B2C to B2B?
I mean, super different. It was just like a completely different space. I The biggest shift I think I felt was in just customer support or the kind of questions or person you're dealing with. For me, yeah, that shift was quite stark. If you go from B2C, doing a lot over the phone, calling or customers calling you about their storage needs, it's just a very different thing to answering questions to businesses using your product. So I think that was one of the main reasons I also wanted to make the switch. I think everyone has their own preference, but one of the main things as a founder or working in a small startup is you spend so much time talking to the customer that you really also need to enjoy that part of your job, or at least, ideally you do, because you want to talk to them as much as possible, your users. And
Hmm.
I enjoy that much more in B2B. And it's actually one of my favorite things in my day is talking to users, finding out how they're liking the product, what they're still missing. And that wasn't the case in my business before, I have to say. So I think that switch for me personally was very important. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I had like sound coming from somewhere else.
Oh no. I
Yeah.
can
I
hear
was
any.
like, wait, what? I was like, wait, what? What tabs? Um, yeah, but that was great. Definitely, customer support is like one shift. I've only ever worked in B2B, so
Mhm.
it's been interesting. I haven't had to be like on the phone with individual like maybe customers, especially
Mhm.
considering that you're on the phone with someone and you know that they're like the value, the immediate value or the unit value from them isn't as much as if they were like a B2B customer where you know the deal sizes are much larger and there's some consolation at least knowing that you're talking to someone that's bringing in a couple thousand in revenue a year.
Well, it depends. Like, Options is actually very quite transactionally priced. I don't know if you've seen, but we start off at around like $59. So it is like it is a B2B product. That's our user base, but the price is
Hmm.
also kind of similar to B2C. But yeah, the
Yeah,
big difference.
yeah. Okay, that does make sense. I'm curious, what does a chief of staff do?
Um, it depends. So chief of staff is very trendy nowadays, I'd say, in startups already for the last couple of years. And
Hmm.
interestingly enough, I get a lot of questions around that even now still on LinkedIn because it's a job a lot of people want to do, I think, when they go to startups, but they're not sure exactly yet. Let's say they have a business background, that was my case, and there's chief of staff, there's founders associate, entrepreneur in residence. These are kind of like the roles adjacent to a founder. So if you're interested in entrepreneurship but think maybe okay, you're not 100% ready yet to take the plunge, you don't have the idea yet, it's a really interesting role to be working alongside a founder. And usually a chief of staff works with one of the founders or a C-suite. I guess there's more in like later stage startups. But if you're doing pre-seed, seed, which was where I was chief of staff, it's super broad. It's literally anything that's um, kind of the topic of the day. It's similar to being a founder without the extra pressure of actually being the founder, but I was working with the CEO back then, and anything he was working on or where the biggest challenges were from go to market or operations, I would jump in and just try to take a lot of that workload off and yeah, be a helping hand essentially in everything. Um, Later in Series A, B onwards, I think there's a bit more structure to it, and you might be confined to a little bit more specific topics. But in early stage, it's really similar to a founder role.
Yeah. So I guess the growth path for chief of staff is to become a founder at some point or the
Yeah,
COO.
yeah. So I think a lot of people do it if they want to see, am I ready or would I be a good founder?
Hmm.
Or it could be someone who's like, I want to then transition into becoming like some sort of head of or C level at a startup. It could be like operations role. Others go to sales. Um, yeah, it depends then where you work on so many different topics, and I think you can see like, oh, this is where I really enjoyed the work, or I'm better at this topic than the other, and then you stick to that. So I think it's really great to kind of find out what you're good at.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I wish I thought about that before becoming the founder. Sounds like a great like a great way to learn on the job, especially if you're sort of would I say multi-skilled or like multi-talented. The folks that would
Yeah,
say they don't have a talent because they do like everything, they're generalist
totally.
typically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's a great role for a generalist and someone who it can't commit to one topic because they're like, oh, I
yeah,
like actually changing them around. And it's someone also maybe who needs that to stay motivated, have 1 month
hmm
working on this and then jump to the next topic. It can be really
yeah.
great. Some people stay chief of staff and they just switch organizations. But yeah, what did
hmm
you do for becoming a founder?
I was a product manager.
Okay.
I was a product manager for 4 years. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Tried to build a B2C product, failed. And then went to a B2B logistics tech company that exited, sold, and then I moved on to another B2B company in the content space. And after that, I was like, okay, I need to go become a founder now. I think now's the time. You just feel it. You feel it in like your guts. And yeah,
Yeah.
now's the time.
And then you just need to
Yeah,
try. Otherwise, you're always like, what if? So it's good.
yeah,
Did you just say
yeah.
it was B2C logistics?
No, B2B.
B2B. Okay. I was gonna say if we
Yeah,
both come from the same background of music.
yeah. It was B2B, but it was interesting because for the logistics company, we also cared about the customer, which was sort of
Mm-hmm.
unique. We had a marketing team that helped or worked with the businesses to roll out marketing campaigns um, for the end users, right? Because if the business is successful, we will be. So we just like helped. However, um, we try to build a brand with the end user, with the customers,
Mm-hmm.
so that they choose the product when they in checkout, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're logistics, we're a delivery company, and we wanted buyers, shoppers to pick us in checkout. So we had to like engage with them, but
Mm.
we weren't selling to them directly. So we had a lot of like customer considerations,
Yeah.
customer experience bits to think about, um, because we had a customer facing product,
Yeah.
but they were not our buyers.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds pretty complex.
Yeah, yeah, it was interesting. I was a product manager there. But tell me about Octolens. Why Octolens? What problem are you solving, and why did you pick that problem?
Yeah. So as I kind of mentioned before, it was inspired by my time at the company prior. So there we were working with dev tools in the open source space. And there it's super important, or it's always at the core of the business or the product to really build up an open source community of like super engaged developers. And this question always arises, how do you find developers to add to your community and to attract to your product, because they don't really react well to traditional marketing. I think you're very well
Yeah,
aware of this because of Hackmamba, but you can't do things like regular ads, like paid ads, or be super salesy with gated content, etc. But one really effective way to grow is just engaging thoughtfully and with value to relevant content that developers create or are interested in. So that could be, them posting an article on dev, or writing something on Twitter, or even things on Stack Overflow, GitHub issues. Um, and if you engage with that thoughtfully, then they could become aware of your product kind of in a natural way, join your community, and through that you grow. And we did notice, or I noticed, like this is not just relevant for dev tools or developer focused products. This can be for most B2B software businesses, because nowadays so many people make their purchase decisions online based on what other people are saying about a product on Twitter, on Reddit, LinkedIn, etc. But the difficult part is really finding that content. So, you might have someone in charge of social media going through platforms all the time, searching for specific keywords. But this is like super time consuming, and usually you don't have that person on your team, especially in the beginning stages. So, what I actually did is we just kind of asked on Twitter, would anyone be interested in a social monitoring tool where you could define keywords, and search on specific platforms that are important to you. And then you get a feed of relevant content that mention these keywords, but not just purely a feed of all the posts, but ranked in relevance to your business with AI. And actually, after a day or so, we had 10 people already sign up, pay via simple Stripe link, and we didn't have a product. So then it was just me actually doing all the work. We called it like a concierge service. And that was a great experience to just understand what people really wanted, if they're prepared to pay for it, what features we should prioritize when building it. And yeah, that kind of motivated and started the whole rest of the journey.
This is amazing. First of all, I love stories that start with, we just had a Stripe link and a website. No, maybe not even a website, Stripe link and a question.
Yeah,
on
it
Twitter.
was a survey on so-called form bricks.
Yeah, and then you get like potential customers. So you're not building from an idea, but you're building for people that could pay for, or that have actually paid for it. So that makes a whole lot of sense. But then again, I think about the idea itself. It feels insurmountable. Like if you asked me, like, hey, if you told me I'm going to find everyone that talks about Hack Mamba or developer marketing everywhere on the internet, and I'll give you all that information, I'll be like, how? That's not possible. You're promising something you cannot deliver on, right?
Yeah.
So it feels, it feels majestic. I mean, thinking about it, what made it possible? Because I know previously, as an engineer, if I would think about this, I'd be like, you're going to have to like have a list of platforms, scrape the data, or maybe you can't even scrape the data because that's point in time. You need to watch for changes. You scrape the data often, and then you have like big data that you have to pass through. And this is for one, like maybe one customer. You have to do this and then track multiple keywords. So it feels like a lot. It feels like kind of problem that's like, this is too big. We need to charge a whole lot for this. But I see you charge $15 a month. So how? Like that's, at least that's the lowest. Like, I mean, no need to share secrets, but like how?
No, sure. I mean, first of all, the way you explained it, it does sound insurmountable. If you say like, we have to search the whole entire internet for everything, then yeah, that would be a bit more difficult. But you kind of start smaller. We just, going back to our survey, you ask people, what are the important platforms for you? And then you already narrow down your list quite a lot. And, in B2B SaaS, that's things like Twitter, Reddit, GitHub issues, LinkedIn, Hacker News, YouTube. Currently, we have, I think, 8 platforms, and we automated one after the other. And so I guess breaking it down into smaller pieces is always kind of the way to go. And plus, you can always kind of just like look outwards. We saw there's other tools, kind of legacy social listening software that does the whole notifying you for keyword mentions, but they do that without really thinking about ranking posts in order of relevance to your business, and you just kind of get like flooded with too many notifications. But I think it's always helpful when you see that there is businesses that have, grown to be successful businesses in the past, but are actually kind of outdated, and you can do it better. Yeah, I knew we could do it, and it's just about breaking it down into like the little pieces. And plus, I'm not the developer, so maybe for me, I'm like more naive. I'm like, yeah, this sounds doable. And then I work with a talented engineer, the founding engineer, Pepe, and he's the one carrying most of that load. So yeah, maybe it's just being a bit naive. It always helps when you start a big project because, of course, now you realize it's hard. And when I think in the beginning how difficult it will get, you probably won't do it. But yeah, it's helpful not to know all the steps to start off with.
Yeah, it sounds, now you put it this way, it sounds doable. But I'm curious, could you walk me through sort of what the workflow is from random mention on the internet to customer? So I'm just trying to understand what transformation looks like with
Yeah.
Octolens, because that's what users would care about, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, for example, today I actually converted 2 customers from mentions on Octolens. So for me, like a non-negotiable is using Octolens myself every single day. And I go through every mention of different types of keywords. So of course, I track for the keyword Octolens. If anyone mentions our business, then I'll want to know, is it positive, negative? Like I want to reply to it. But because we're quite a fresh and new business, that's not even like, doesn't happen too often. For me, what's more important is I track industry terms like social listening, Reddit monitoring, Twitter monitoring, and also some competitors. And what we do at Auctions, when we find those keywords in posts, before we bring them to your feed, we check with AI, does this post contain buy intent? For example, is someone asking for an alternative to the competitor that you're tracking? Or is someone asking on Twitter, like, does someone have a recommendation for a social listening tool? And those posts will come to the top of my feed, or I'll get a Slack or email notification, depending on what you have set up. I have Slack. And then I just go to that post, and you can then thoughtfully reply in the comments, being like, hey, I'm the founder of a social listening tool, Octolens. It does X, Y, and Z. Why don't you try it out? And that works really well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I spoke to a founder today. I said they stopped outbound, and they're like a pretty decent company. Probably,
Yeah.
I'll say they're like getting like becoming a growth company rather than a startup. And they literally stopped outbound because
Okay.
they couldn't discern, like they didn't have enough signals, or they couldn't discern enough buying intent to justify cold outreach. And we know the best form of cold outreach is when this is relatable, not just personalized, but this person has a problem you want to solve, and they want it now. Like they're that tipping point where they want the problem to be solved right away, not in the future. And not like in Q3 2025, but right now. So it's interesting to hear. I think Octolens can help with something like this, showing you
Yeah.
people that are talking about a problem they have that your solution could help with, and you're not really selling to them. You're basically just saying, hey, you dropped your wallet, here it is. Right. Right. Here's the solution. Here's a solution. That's how I see sales. I'm not selling. Like I'm not trying to sell you something that you don't need.
Yeah.
It's you're walking on the street, you've dropped your wallet. I'm like, hey, here's your wallet. You would say, thanks. Can I maybe, I don't know, here's some money. Thank you so much for picking up my wallet and giving it to me. That's the kind of sales I like. And it seems
Yeah.
like Octolens would help you get there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and ideally that's what you want. You don't want to be pushing. I mean, you can try as much as you want to push your B2B software on people who don't need it. It's probably not going to work. And in general, I think cold outbound, of course, it still has its place and it still works for people. So I'm not saying at all it's not useful, but there's just so much of it nowadays with all the different AI agents, like AI SDRs, and you get flooded with emails. Plus, like all the email inboxes have gotten better with filtering out a lot of the cold outbound, that it's getting harder and harder. So what our approach is doesn't mean that someone who uses Octolens doesn't do like 10 other things for growth, including cold outreach. But it's like you just don't want to miss the people who are literally, like you said, like asking for your product. If someone is saying, hey, do you have a recommendation for a social listening tool? As a founder or someone in the business, it would be super frustrating to see that post like 3 weeks late and be like, damn, I wish I would have gotten that instant notification. Or in your case, Philip, people might be asking for better technical docs and you'd like to see that, right? Or jump into the discussion. So it's just one form of growth, which is a bit more like with warm intent than cold outbound. Yeah.
It sounds like something I'm going to use. Like after no, I think I'm sold. I think I'm sold already, because I've struggled, not even struggled, but with the kind of product or service we sell, it's really difficult to just reach out to anyone. You need to be sure that they have a problem and they understand the value of what they are going to be buying before you even reach out to them. You can just reach out to anyone, even if they are like within like your ICP, and you know they may have a problem. You risk damaging your brand. So I think I'm going to check out Octolens. I'll pass it to like our head of marketing to check out which. So then I started to think. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh no, I just said if you do, I'd love to know what you think.
Yeah, sure. I'll definitely check it out. And then I'm curious, in B2B teams, who typically uses Octolens in a typical setup? Is this does it sit on the sales team, marketing teams? Is this how the founder like finds investors, or can anyone use it?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of great, but it's kind of the problem that, I mean, you just highlighted something we're struggling with. There's like a use case for everyone, and you know that's always bad when you start trying to make a product for everyone, of course. So right now, I'd say the majority of our customers, because of the background I have in that like DevTool open source area, that was also like the network I had. A lot of our customers are still DevTools, and it's a mix. I'd say it's either if it's early stage, it's a founder who just wants to stay on top of important mentions, but they have like a ton of other things to do. So it's nice they can just go through the daily email of important mentions and do that social media interaction, which is like super important for a founder to do, to have an outwardly presence and also do some sales, because it's super impactful if you're a founder and you go answer a message from someone looking for a tool. It's the most convincing. But then on the other hand, we do have also people from the marketing and growth team. So like, head of marketing or growth type person. And so it's either founder or go-to-market team member, and some dev rails actually. So that's kind of the mix.
This is an interesting ritual problem you have. You've built something really cool that anyone can use. So how'd you go to market then? How'd you pick who your buyers are? Do you like broaden the funnel, broaden like the scope of your ideal customer profile, and what like, because you're selling B2B, so you're thinking about buyer committees and like who the actual buyer is, who champions are, and influencers are in the teams. Do you think about these? Did you have to narrow your focus, pick one at a time, or you're like, yep, we're going to open it to everyone and see what happens?
Okay, well, I think the thing you should do is probably pick and go for that one. Naturally, like we have definitely had that focus on DevTool companies that are early stage, and in that buyer persona, it's less about some sort of buyer committee or people bringing it to the right person in the company. It's not like this enterprise sales process, and because the pricing is quite transactional, it's self-service. Usually people just sign up and go, and I'd say that we definitely probably in the future might narrow down a bit more which ICP we go for. But I mean, we started in April. It's still all quite fresh. So right now it's interesting to see who uses it, how they use it. And I think we can make our decisions going forward. But right now it's still very much in this phase of, it's interesting to see the different types of personas use the product and see who gets the most value out of it. But we have the blessing, I'd say, that there's not like this huge enterprise sales process at our price point and our buyer. So we haven't gone through like an enterprise process.
Yeah, this is interesting because one of the reasons I once got bounced by an accelerator for an idea I had, I built a prototype for, and I showed them like, hey, I built this thing really valuable. Here it is. They were like, so who exactly are you building this for? Have you picked like a niche? I'm like, no. Anyone can use this, right? Anyone can use this and they get value from it. They're like, no. We want you to define your customers, pick like a particular segment, because you don't want to be competing with like all these other people. And I was like, but I don't know which market segment this is going to like get some traction in. Maybe I'm going to focus on this segment, but then I miss out on these other groups that have like burning problems. So it's interesting to see how this works, and I wish I could talk to like an investor to know like what their rationale, or someone in like the VC space to know what the rationale is with regards to being like specific and finding like a target market and a target audience and focusing on them early on, as against just building something really cool and seeing who comes in and focus from there.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I think this is like a big problem for a lot of founders. You have this like idea and think like, wow, it's good for so many different types of people, and there is so much value in niching down. Having said what I said, like we do definitely had like, and from the beginning, our customers were early stage B2B SaaS, mostly dev tools. So it was quite, I guess, specific. Just within an early stage company, the user could be the co-founder, or it could be a growth team member. So I say it's quite diverse. It is quite diverse, but it is, we do have it confined to a particular segment who have at least the similarity of the same platforms are important, and the same type of like posts are the ones that they want to see at the top of the feed. So we are like focused in that sense, for sure.
Oh, that's cool. On the flip side, I'm curious, can you also use Octolens to identify potential customers, or not potential customers that may churn? So sometimes you have your customers that are dissatisfied with your product. Larger companies will find like their comments on Trustpilot. You find out like what they've said, and some like dissatisfied engineers will put it on Twitter. So with Octolens, do you also get like the negative mention? So maybe you could fix something beforehand. Is this something you optimize for, or it's just the let's close the deal?
No. Good point. So we have, I'd say, for posts that we rank as high relevance, we have a few specific ones. So posts with buy intent are marked as high relevance. Posts with user frustrations, whether it be a competitor product or your own product, are marked as high relevance. Or user testimonials that are super positive are marked as high relevance. Like these things you'll want to know. So for sure, if someone is talking negatively about your brand, we'll tag that as high relevance. It'll come up as on the top of your feed, and then you can do something about it. So if someone on Twitter is complaining, or on Reddit is complaining about your product, you have the opportunity to jump in, or at least learn from that post and understand why are they mentioning something negative about my brand. And this is particularly interesting if you are already on the bigger side, if your business is that big that there's people really having these conversations on testimonials on your brand. It's very helpful to understand what people are liking or not liking, maybe preventing a churn, etc.
Yeah, and I see this as also sort of like a cheat code, because you'd see on Twitter, for instance, when someone shares a frustration, and immediately the CEO jumps in like the comment and helps resolve it. They don't just gain, or they don't retain the customer, they gain a champion as well. Someone that's like, hey, could you imagine the CEO was the one that helped me do this? So I guess Octolens could be that cheat code for CEOs to just like go about commenting on frustrations and providing some support. I just thought about it now, just to get some social point.
It's so impactful, because like then the user feels super heard, and like you said, like, oh wow, it's the founder. Even if it's a small company, like they just appreciate someone taking the time and listening to them. And then if you can actually like implement or help with the frustration, then that's amazing. And like you said, you could turn someone who's talking negatively about your brand into an actual champion in the end. So that's super important.
Yeah, that's cool. So currently, how'd you go to market, if you can share that? Like what channels are working for you, what mediums are working for a product like this? I see the UI of the website looks sweet, looks great. So it seems like you have like brand nailed and the UI nailed. But how are you going to market currently, and what's working, what's also not working?
Thank you for the compliment on the website. I think we can still keep improving, but we are definitely constrained by our budget. So we have to think very creatively around how we go to market. So for sure, I use Octolens. That's like a no-brainer for me. That's one part of our go-to-market. And then what we've been doing quite a lot is working with or thinking of cool free tool ideas, which are a great way to grow if you have a limited budget. So we've done things like create a free wall of love, a testimonial love generator, which it kind of shows like one feature of Octolens. And then we like launch those on Product Hunt or on different sites. And that way it can collect emails and do like email drip campaigns, and that's worked well. We've done a share voice calculator, so people can type in their brand and their competitors and see how much of the online mentions do I get versus my main competitors. We have a free online search tool, so this free tool marketing has been a good channel for us. It's also really fun because not only is it a go-to-market, a way to find new customers, but it actually also gets your creative juices flowing for new features for your main product. So that one has been working well for us. And then definitely like making sure that I post on social media, LinkedIn, like our buyers are on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And so it's posting consistently on those channels and making use of all the kind of organic channels that we have. Also SEO, something we're working on.
Yeah. You said LinkedIn and Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Or
that's
X.
X. Yeah, I cannot get over calling it Twitter. Yeah, that does make sense. I see most people pick one, and it's like one just works for them. So it's either Twitter or X, no, or LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah.
You're not on TikTok.
You know what? I experimented, but I got off there quick because I think it just wasn't my cup of tea. You have to also somehow, like, somewhat enjoy, making the content if you're going to be consistent at it. And I had a few weeks where I was trying my best, but I'm like, wow, first of all, it didn't bring anything, and second of all, like, yeah, it just was not making me happy. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna not do that and focus on some other channels.
Wow. I thought everyone was happy on TikTok and LinkedIn. Everyone is always thrilled on LinkedIn.
Well, outwardly, yes, of course, you post about being thrilled, but I think you're not going to love everything you do every day, of course, but it needs to be something that you can do consistently over time, and that for me was not TikTok.
Yeah. Fair enough. So what are some of the things that haven't worked? Have you tried ads, for instance, and what other failures have you had with GTM, or has it all been rosy so far?
No, it's not all rosy, and I think it's really like we just experiment with a lot of different channels. So as I mentioned, TikTok, that was a fail. We can put that in the fail category. We did have, I got influenced, I think, also on Twitter or X. There's always like a new thing that kind of is trending. Everyone's like, you must do Facebook ads. Like they work so amazing. You grow to, I don't know how many, how fast, to 1 million ARR, that type of content. So we did have a short stint of trying some Facebook ads, but that didn't work. In the end, I think we recouped our investment because we got enough customers that now have stayed on long enough time that it wasn't like that we didn't lose money on Facebook. But it wasn't working as well as our other channels. And if you have, it's only me focusing on go-to-market. And if you have too many things going at once, you feel like you can't do one properly. So Facebook ads, for now, we put that on pause. I think it's also super important if you're going to do paid ads that you're 100% clear on your ICP and what messaging works well for them. And I'd rather now experiment much more with organic social to understand which posts, which messages resonate the best, and then put maybe at some point money in these. So I'd say Facebook ads didn't work. And then cold outreach, like email campaigns. It's probably also I didn't do them well. It's worth another experiment, but it just wasn't getting response rate. And I also didn't enjoy it. I don't know, there's something
Yeah.
about cold email which I'm like, oh, bothering so many people right now and they don't want to hear it. But I think it's definitely again worth a try, but it didn't. I don't think we got a conversion from it, or if anything, like very few. So we decided to also, or I decided to put that on pause. So I'd put that in the kind of failure category that I need to reopen again one day and try a bit harder.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. I mean, cold outbound, that's tough. That's
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough, especially because everyone's getting spammed these days. So we just build like, very low tolerance for like cold emails. I found myself recently wanting to reply to a cold email, like legitimately. They found me having a problem, and I wanted to reply, but there was this thing about, I know this is a cold email, and I want to like reply this email. I stopped for a second, like I hesitated for like a second, and then I had this, introspective moment where I was like, if this was a normal email, I would reply, but this is a cold email that I have to reply to. It feels like interacting with a bot
I mean, it is.
unknowingly.
Like, they're all automated. Like, no way
Yeah.
is anyone writing the emails anymore. So it definitely takes away from, yeah, like you said, wanting to reply. And I feel like not everyone, but a lot of people are saying that like reply rates are going down. It's getting harder and harder. And part of me thinks like I've also made Octolens because of this even personal distaste for cold email. I
Yeah.
guess you should always build a tool that scratches your own itch. And if that means I can not do cold email, at least for a while, then that's great.
Yeah. Well, there are folks on LinkedIn that would swear by
Yeah.
mass cold emails.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they say you're not doing it right. That's why it's not working. So well,
Yeah.
until I try again, I guess I'll never know.
I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that's all like I didn't do it well enough. But then again, like it is just me. And so I need to focus or try to focus in the beginning on things that I think I can do well and that are working. And if you put like, if you have too many things running at once, none of them are going to work out really well.
Yeah.
Did you try cold email?
Oh yeah. I tried cold email. I tried having an agency run like cold email on a performance only basis, and they fired us. Like they're like, oh no. Yeah. So we first tried by myself. I had someone show me how to like run cold email sequences, because when I started out as a founder last year, I had unknown unknowns, or rather I had known unknowns. So basically those things that I know I don't know, things like building out like a cold email sequence, what sales operations look like. So I paid someone to just show me how it works, so I know I'm not doing something wrong, or at least I'm covering my bases. So I did that, and then I started iterating on cold emails. But I think to date we've had just one customer come from like cold emails. I've tried, mass cold emails, personalized cold emails, emails that are straight to the point, emails that are like just trying to qualify the prospect, the contact, not even a prospect. Trying to qualify the contact, emails that are so emails that have offered value, right? According to what folks on LinkedIn would say. But they also do not convert. Sometimes I get replies of like, hey, this is like really good, but we're not interested at the moment. Let's talk about this in the future. So
that's already pretty good. You got a reply.
Yeah. So I did get some replies, but then I noticed that cold emails quickly got stale. Right.
Yeah.
So when it works, the formula quickly like leaks out somewhere. Everyone's sending the same thing. Everyone's talking about my high school all of a sudden. Everyone is using my LinkedIn recommendations. Uh, to open like code emails, and folks are having like short subjects, and you just notice a sort of like a trend. So I
Mm,
figured at some point that mine got outdated, and they weren't
mm,
as valuable. I was spending more time
yeah.
uh, personalizing these emails. I started pre-qualifying emails as well, and that took like a whole lot of time. You try to use GPT-4,
Yeah.
hallucinated a lot of time. I was sending like emails to agencies that were, like our competitors, or
Oh.
software agencies that didn't care. So
Yeah.
the way to go was to like check, verify each account that maybe they could use our solution. So I did all that, didn't work, paused it, decided to go
Mhm,
like all inbound. An
mhm.
agency comes on, says, they can change everything, they can fix it. I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know what? I'll give you all the information you want, go run it. They tried,
Yeah.
I think they sent anywhere from 7 to 10,000 emails
Mhm.
over the 2 weeks. Yeah, probably
Yeah.
like 20,000 emails in a month.
Mhm.
Um, and then they were like, "Yeah, we're sorry, we've exhausted your your time. We've got like one call. They got a couple of positive replies,
Okay.
but the contacts never like replied back, even
Okay.
if they kept like they kept chasing them down, but no replies. They had one meeting booked.
Goodness that you did performance based.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
they did performance based. So and this was because I wanted them to prove that
Yeah.
I was wrong. So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll pay you way more if this
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I now we've changed our strategy to be more inbound, which is what has worked for us.
Yeah.
Folks that find us understand what we are, what we offer. They know what
Yeah.
they're getting. They know they're coming for content marketing. They know they
Yeah.
want better developer documentation, and that's
Mhm.
what we help with. They understand the value of what they're going to get.
Yeah.
Also, we just try to help them find us faster. I think that's our strategy now: is get found faster and stay top of mind.
Yeah. Yeah. We're similar. That works for us well too. Focusing on inbound, focusing on just creating good content, whether it
Yeah,
be on the blog or social media.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a good
yeah.
channel.
Blog content definitely has worked for us. We're this close to closing a deal from content we created this week, for instance. It's
Nice.
yeah, it gets better with time. I've
Yeah.
noticed.
That's the
Yeah,
hard thing, I think, the patience for SEO to kick in. You start on
yeah.
day one and then just it takes, I guess 6 months plus for it really to show any
Mhm.
results. But yeah, if I could go back in time, I would really like recommend everyone to just start day one with
Yeah.
just some sort of blog content, some like really important content pieces like competitor comparison pages, or just start creating something, because then later you'll thank yourself for starting earlier.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I met the founder that said starting with SEO from day one
Mm-hmm.
was a bad idea, right? I've
Mm,
spoken to quite a number of people, and everyone's been like, "Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving." We
yeah,
started and we just kept at it consistently, and now we're just getting traffic from random places, and we're getting backlinks from those,
yeah,
and it's been good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Same, I'd recommend it.
Well, I see we've gone over time. But anyways, thank you so much, Charlotte. Do you have any last words to anyone listening to this? Obviously, aside checking out Octolens for sure. Anything else?
No, honestly, I had a really fun time talking to you, William. Great to hear also what's working or not working at Hackmamba. And yeah, anytime again, happy to join.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Well, to everyone else listening, this has been great. And that's today's episode of Everything Outside Code.
Bye.